Well, that idleness is, Proverbs has a lot about being idle.
And we have one for today.
Yeah. So what we're unpacking there, I think, is going to be a big piece of what we'll talk about today.
Yeah.
Hit that Proverbs up. I got it if you don't have it.
I have it.
Okay.
If you want to filibuster here for just a second.
Well, it's Proverbs 22, or do we?
Proverbs 23.
23, excuse me.
29 through 35.
Hit it up.
Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who tarry long over wine, those who go to try to mixed wine. Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a serpent and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart utter perverse things.
Ugh. 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 Soak that in for a little bit.
Okay.
This, by the way, when I hear Christians make the argument that the wine in Bible times wasn't the same as it is today, I'm like, read Proverbs 23. All
So,
right.
when was Solomon walking the earth?
Well, he had to be probably 3,500 years ago, maybe 1,500 years before.
That's my understanding. So
before
about 3,500 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So even then, wine could be made powerful and it could consume you. But he doesn't just say that there. He's not only talking about wine in this. He goes ahead and lists about 6 things that I think are, these caution signs in the road of life. And where he's laying out these things are, who has. And these, like, obviously one of the symptoms of my sin life was alcoholism. I look at it that way. And I constantly had bumps and bruises. I don't know where they came from. And my eyes were always red. And boy, it certainly did sting, especially as sometimes it was physically, but almost exclusively it was mentally. The shame and the discontentedness that was just pervasive. I couldn't find happiness in anything anymore, and this is a good example for that. But it also lists, I guess I shouldn't have put it away instantly, Jonny.
I do like how he references it to a snake or to an adder.
Sure.
It's a poisonous snake.
Yes.
Just how the bite of it, he draws a really clean picture of the pain that can come with too much wine when you indulge yourself in that experience of life with alcohol. I was there too for a decade of my life. And the amazing part about like pain of going through addiction is how quickly the brain can forget like these painful parts in our lives. Like, you ever had that morning where you wake up and you look around and you're like, oh, what did I do last night? And somebody comes to you and you're like, you did this and you did that. And you just feel that shame and that guilt. And you go, I'll never do that again. And then within 24 hours, it's all of a sudden I've got memory of a goldfish and I forgot about all that. And
I would intentionally, they would remind me of something and maybe I'd have like a shadow of a memory of it.
Yeah.
And it'd be shameful. So then I'd want to drink away the shame. And that's really where, the heaviness of my addiction started to settle in. Is I was so full of shame I couldn't face reality at all for any moments of any days. And my body was heavily addicted. So I would have severe withdrawals, including like delirium tremens, DTs, where I wouldn't be able to move. I would fall down on the ground and be locked. My body would be locked. I remember my brother finding me like that one time and being horrified, as anybody would be. He thought, what are you on? What is this? What's happening to you? He thought I was dying. And
if
I
not
was
dead.
27 at the time. It's like, he's dying. My brother's dying. He's on the ground. And then all I'm asking him for is to like pour alcohol in my mouth, basically. And I still wasn't ready to be done yet. I went years longer of doing that because I was so captured by it. And I, on my own accord, and this is kind of where we'll end up going today, is on my own accord. Despite all these bad things consistently happening, I couldn't stop. I just couldn't. I tried, and I'd get a little bit of time, and then I'd fail at that, and I'd get a little more time, and I'd fail at that. And it's easy for maybe somebody to hear this and go, I don't drink at all, or I don't have a drinking problem. I think, as he says here, who has woe, who has sorrow, who has strife, who has complaining, who has wounds without cause. I don't think that only comes from wine. I think that can come from pornography. I think it can come from food addiction. Mm-hmm. I think it can come from shopping addicts.
Anything that you're filling a void with, you just put whatever your thing is, you put that in that bucket. And
it can give you a woe. It can give you sorrow. You go to look at your bank account and you've overspent again this month, and now you got to make some lie up or excuse why the thing you're supposed to be paying for can't be paid.
And the cyclical part about it is you feel that woe because of the sinful choice, and then you do the sinful choice to try to cover up the woe. And it's just this never-ending merry-go-round of this lifestyle. And it's like, at what point in time am I going to just finally jump off? And it's in that jumping off where the work begins. And that's the hard part for people, because mentally we think it's easier just to stay on the merry-go-round because I know it. I know what this looks like. I know these roads. And as soon as I jump off, that's scary because I don't know what lies ahead for me.
Yes.
And I know there's work to be done in order to change what I've got going on the inside so that I can become a productive human being for my family and for my community.
And from my experience, anytime I had stopped drinking, it was physically painful. Again, I would have I would have seizures. I'd be very sick, like the worst flu I've ever had in my life sick. Way worse than COVID ever was for me personally. I'm a pretty healthy guy, so that didn't affect me real bad. And we're talking weeks. And, the drugs that I was taking too, because I was a drug addict at the same time, took months. I remember it was like a month of feeling like there was just broken glass inside of my body. Every single movement hurt.
That's a party.
Let alone a lack of clarity in my mind, a compulsive thought process.
And so as soon as you used to get, that would all go away, right?
And that was what I was going to say, is the compulsive thought in my head was, you know how to clear this up. It's, you know where to get it. You can go get it. And it was when I wasn't willing to let Christ step in, it was all done through my own power. Mm-hmm. And boy, I was already out of power. I didn't have it.
It's tough, man. I think that leads us into what we're going to talk about here today.